Hey everybody, welcome to Field of Dreams on ACTN. I'm Steve David, I'm your host. Today I want to talk to my good old buddy Anthony Clark on Trinidad and Tobago football. He said to me that, it's time he talks about football because, of course, he's so interested in seeing our football rise, and he has his version of what can make that happen. And we talk about it. We just talk about everything in football in general and so on. So let me introduce him. Welcome to St. Anthony.
Thank you very much, Steve. It's always a pleasure to be here with you, talking football and seeing what we can do to help our current situation. Thank you for inviting me.
I like the one-on-one because when you on the panel, you don't get enough time and all that. So now we have time, we sit down and we analyze and we break it down piece by piece, right? So for the viewers who might not remember who you are because you're a national player, you went to press, you played school football, you're a national player. Some of us forget, we're getting old, right? So let's remind them who you are. I want to just touch a little bit back in your past, and then we're going to go to the thing. Okay, so you started, you're from San Fernando, right?
San Fernando. I got in love with football because one of the country's greatest footballers used to take me to all his games.
To see football.
To see football. That was one Steve David. So me as a young boy at 6 and 7, I was going everywhere to see Steve David play. For he used to come and pick me up home. My parents used to allow me to go with him, and he used to take me everywhere he was playing. And I fell in love with football. After that, I played for the South youth teams. I made the South youth teams as a forward at that time. And strangely enough, at that time, under 10, under 12, Leonson Lewis was the goalkeeper of the South youth teams, right? And I was a forward as well. And one day, Leonson said, "Clarky, let me play out front now." And
it worked out for both.
That was it. I got stuck in the goal. And Leonson went on to have a wonderful career in football. After that, I went to Apprenticeship College, and I was part of the famous national under 16 team. That was the first time there was a youth a confederation youth tournament. I think it was, if my memory serves me right, Jack Warner proposed to have Youth World Cup, and our CONCACAF under 16 tournament was a pilot project to see how Youth World Cups would be, and it was a success. And I was part of that under 16 team. I was the #1 goalkeeper with Ross Russell and Colin Rock, Clint Marcel, Russell Atapi, Marvin Foston, Todd Willis, Ainsley Weeks. It was, that team went on to play a lot of national and professional football in this country as well. After that, I played for Trintock. I played for Trintock in the days with Clayton Morris, Garnet Craig, Brian Williams, Bertrand Noel, Philbert Jones, Adrian Fonrose, Russell Atapi, Leonson Lewis. And then after that, I had a short stint in Portugal when Leonson and Latapi was there in Portugal. Came back, was one of the foundation members of Hubby Connection professional football team. And after that, I went into business. I mean, I was a petrochemical professional, and after that I went into my own business, into dental and medical aid supply and service, and then after that into construction management. I'm the holder of masters in entrepreneurial management, and I have a postgraduate degree in management as well.
Good. You make me proud, bud. I knew I seen something in you from since you were 5, 6 years old.
Yeah.
That's good. So now you're here, and I'm very impressed with your knowledge of the running of football and all of that. So that's why I have you here today, so we can just talk football and see if we can help in bridging the gap or mending the pieces,
Yeah.
so to speak, to make this work for us, because we in a state now, we hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
And there's nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
But up. So let's build. So I will give you the opportunity to express yourself in things that you think could make these things happen. And
well, to do a strategic analysis of the situation, especially current situation, we have to go back and we have to understand what has changed in the sport of football. And unless we do that, we will continually be living in the past. In your time and my time, football was maybe the only thing that we could have done. Football, cricket, basketball, outdoor sports. That is how we had to be entertained. We had to be outside of the house. In today's society, you have not only competition with other sports, but you have competition with technology. And the kids are not as athletic as they were before. Their interest now is in gaming and all that type of thing. And therefore, we have the first challenge of getting kids interested in being in an outdoor sporting activity. All right? It's not only football. We no longer have basketball competitions, zonal competitions. You don't have basketball in Skinner Park again. Basketball is gone, right? We are the days of Super 10, when you had all that excitement, right? We no longer have the days of Jean Pierre and Verl Prescott in netball. We used to have great netball competitions, North-South, and the park, right? Skinner Park was a buzz with netball. Right, the Lister Lewises, and that has gone, right? Cricket has been the only sport that really has been really progressing because of the opportunities cricket provide for locals. You have
IPL?
CPL. You have the opportunity for the IPL because they choose people who are not even on the West Indies team. So they choose them sometimes to go to IPL. There is the other leagues around the world. So there's opportunity in cricket. And cricket has been, on a steady trend, right, going up. But football is one of them, has been on a downward trend because of the opportunities, right? You don't even have a lot of scholarship opportunities now in football, right? Back in the day, college coaches from the United States used to come to Trinidad and seek out from the college league, students to give scholarships and so on, right? Even that has dwindled because they have risen in terms of their quality of football in the United States, and they don't have to seek skilled players again from the Caribbean and other areas, and in fact they have, right, they surpassed where we were.
But don't you think it's because it's so watered down now? Because before they would seek out the cream of the crop to go and do this, but now every Tom, Dick, and Harry is sending to school, some small school with the kids, and they're all over the place. I think it's watered down.
Right, you mean in Trinidad?
The Trinidad, the kids from Trinidad who goes overboard,
Yes.
abroad now, they go to a junior college and this college and that college, and they almost fall off the barrel because it's not as easy as they think it is.
Correct.
So it's
yes.
so watered down now, I think. So because anybody who put on some boots with some shorts feel they can play football.
Correct. And you because you had natural talent back in the day, that is where it comes from. Everybody feel that once they went to college league, back in the day, from college league football, you could have gone into big man football.
Right.
You don't see that happening again. From college league, those college players just dwindle away.
Right.
Because they cannot reach up to the mark of playing at our professional league or even our zonal league, which we don't have again. But because the quality has dwindled, it has watered down. So that was just an understanding of the competitive nature of getting quality back into football from a young age. You have a whole lot of youth football camps all over the place with people who are not qualified to run those camps, and there has to be a revamping, a rethinking of how to capture the youth at that age, because in their prime development stage, and if we don't catch them there, our footballers will develop late, as we are seeing now.
So what should change to make that happen?
Well, Steve, there are a number of things. And one of the first things is a reality check of the people who are involved in football. We have to understand, one, that where the talent has gone, we have to understand that we are competing against technology along with other sports. And we have to find a way, first of all, to make football attractive to the youths. While doing that, you have to ensure that all the little coaching clinics you have all around the country, that the youth is getting a proper introduction to football. Not structured. It don't have to be very structured as right. A youth football doesn't have to be very structured. But as they advance, you have to ensure that there's a proper structure to advance these youngsters. I think one of the things that need to happen again is that we need to go back to zonal football. We need to have football coming out of the communities that will even be a catalyst to reduce crime, because the youth are getting involved again. Community leaders, in the real sense of community leaders, are now being involved in football again. And we have so many ex-national players. I think this could be a program of the Ministry of Sport along with the TTFA, where you can hire some of the local coaches, ensure that they are employed, send them in a community, even if they are from that community, where a structured training program can go on. You have community clubs, and you start back the zonal footballing thing. So it's a way to get, it doesn't have to be professional. This is an amateur league I'm speaking about.
Agree.
An amateur league. Something else that I think that is extremely important, because we are talking about national football and reaching back to, at the glory days, for want of a better term. College league cannot be a lord on its own, because the college league, from college league, you have to go to the national scene. And therefore, sometimes the focus on college league is not so much structured football. And I believe that if we get, for our professional league to grow, if we tie a school, a college, to a professional team, where the college league could be the feeder program into the professional team, and the coaches from the professional team are the ones advancing the coaching into the college league structure, you are sure you are getting a structured program. So like, for example, Sawa Senior Secondary. Jablute could take Sawa Senior Secondary under their wing, all right, officially, right, and implement their structure and system into the school football, bring discipline, and therefore you will see the progression of technical ability improving because you have that type of training coming there. It comes like the reserve league of those big professional clubs.
But we used to have that here, didn't we? With the professional, with our professional league, we had what is that, over 21 or whatever. We had some.
We had a reserve league,
right?
But the college players were barred once college league had started back. Were barred from participating with a professional club once college football had started. And I'm saying if it is that the college league is tied to a professional club, yes, the school will be benefiting, the college will be, the professional team will be spending resources in the school, ensuring that you have proper coaches, the expense of a coach that schools have to find to pay coaches, all that could be worked out in a nice way.
But there wouldn't be enough professional teams to handle all the colleges.
Not enough, but we also have top colleges, and right, you get the top players from the top colleges. So at the end of the day, you can't expect to have all the teams, but who every year you have Renaparima, you have Sawa Jablote, you have St. Augustine, you have Signal Hill, you have the top 8 or 9 colleges that compete from now till right way back 20 years ago. Plantation College, Naparima College, St. Benedict's College. You know the teams that you
right.
Right. So they could partner with a professional team.
Right.
Right. And yes, it will have the other schools that are somewhat disadvantaged, but you have the A League and the B League in terms of college football. You have senior grade, you have championship grade in terms of college football as well. All right. So I think that is an idea that can be explored, where to bridge the gap of development from college football into what we call big man football or senior football.
But even before that, do we still have the primary school football?
We still have the primary school football. Okay. And if it is that you get the proper pre-training programs with all these little coaching clinics around the place, and you get the ministry to get involved, we have so many of our past players who have coaching licenses now and so on. They can be assigned to a primary school, paid by the ministry as a coach, mm-hmm. and assign them to a primary school, mm-hmm. and therefore our coaches will be getting experience and employment. Mm-hmm. They will be under the principal of the school. The principal will report, but you are assigned coaches. You assign coaches to primary schools and so on. That will be a better use of the budget in the Ministry of Sport. And that does not only have to be for football, mind you. All right. Yes, we have highest on football here, but in terms of sport in general, mm-hmm. there are a lot of basketball coaches that are unemployed. The ministry could assign them to a primary school, assign them to a secondary school, netball. There are a lot of netball coaches out there. Assign them to a primary school or secondary and ensure that there's a structured program for our youth development in all sporting areas. We are biased to football, so while I'm speaking about football, it can be applied to all the other sports at the same time. All right? So yes, it has the primary school, and the same thing can be applied to the primary school right system. We have a lot of good coaches in Trinidad and Tobago, and that is the way for our coaches to get experience.
Don't you think it's our economics that is bothering our youth in development? Because when you're in primary school, you have to study. C is coming up, da-da-da-da-da. Not that we didn't study back in the day. We did, but we did both. So now the parents are so hard on the kids to get first place, because we didn't know nothing about first place. So hard on kids to get first place. And so everybody now is so hard in the books, which I can't disagree with them, but the kids don't get outside enough.
Well, science has proven that extracurricular activities aids in educational right results, aid in better educational results.
Right, yes.
And there's also a benefit in terms of scholarships and so on,
right,
for students in terms of being there. So there are pros and cons on both sides.
Okay, let's take a break, and then when we come back, we will get into some more of the things you think that would make our football progress. Viewers, we'll be right back after the short break.
We are not here today because of David John Williams.
Right.
We are not here today because of Raymond Timke.
Right.
We are here today because this is the result of the years of the Jack Warner rule in football. The only person who has benefited from football in Trinidad and Tobago is Austin Jack Warner.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. Tony, we obviously we hit ground zero. We're at the bottom of the barrel, and now let's re-examine our structure, and let's identify where we had problems, or what need to change to make it right. So let's talk about that.
All right. If you look back from 1989, all right, we go back to
Strike Squad.
Strike Squad. That's 1989.
Yes.
Right? That is, what, 50 years ago, almost? 89, 40 years ago?
No.
40 years ago?
30-something years ago. We're in 21.
All right. 30-something years ago. Right. Right? You have had a group of players that have carried football for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
So from the 80s, you had, our tournament was in 86. Our under-16 tournament was in 86.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had the World Cup qualifying in 89 with the Strike Squad.
Mm-hmm.
And up till maybe 2006, 2007, those same names were the names that were circulating.
Right.
The Brian Williams, the Leonson Lewis, the Russell Atapi,
Dwight
York.
Mm-hmm.
A group of players carried football for almost 30 years.
Right.
And we did not focus on proper youth development because we were seeing success with this group of players. We focused all our energies on the senior team, and we needed to look at our foundation and do some repair to our foundation in terms of youth development and so on. At that time, we had leaders who were focused on themselves and their wealth.
Mm-hmm. Selfish leaders.
Selfish leaders. Mm-hmm. Football, until 2018 or 2019, has not owned anything. We didn't own an office. We didn't own a football field. And I must thank the last administration for finally having something that football could call its own. All right?
Home of football.
The home of football. We thought that the Center of Excellence was ours, and then we got to realize that it was owned privately. But this is the first time in 100-year history of football that football has now something that could say it's their own. Administration go, administration come, we have something that we can work with. So I think the problem emanated from not focusing on our youth development while in our so-called glory days with the Latapie and the Leon St. Louis's and the Dwight Yorks and so on. We did not pay attention. And right after that, included in that gap is the Bertelsen Clare squad with the Gerard Nixon and all of those, Angus Eve and so on. That group of players took football for almost 30 years.
Right.
And after that, we realized that we are in the present situation. So that is what happened, Steve. And with that, we did not do any reinvesting into football. Reinvesting in terms of player pool, reinvesting in terms of infrastructure, because we didn't have any infrastructure. It is the first infrastructure now, the home of football. We did no reinvesting, and it comes like a jug, full of water. You keep pouring out of that jug, it eventually will get empty if nothing is pouring back into that jug. If you don't have a pipe that's pouring back into that jug, all the water is going to come out of that jug eventually, and it will be empty. And that is where we are right now, is that we have poured out of football, and we are now empty in terms of talent, administrative insight.
Well, because we weren't investing, because there was Jack Warner was running the whole thing, and he had a president, yes, but he was the consultant or whatever.
Advisor to the TTFA.
He was putting in the money, so nobody cared or nobody thought about, hey, we have to be self-sufficient.
And that's what I mentioned, that we had leaders in the past who were selfish, seeking their own interests, and therefore football suffered because of that. That is where we are. We are not here today because of, what the last president's name, William Wallace.
Yeah.
We are not here today because of David John Williams. We are not here today because of Raymond Timke. We are here today because this is the result of the years of the Jack Warner rule in football. The only person who has benefited from football in Trinidad and Tobago is Austin Jack Warner.
Right. So now we have to turn that corner.
We have to turn that corner.
Okay, so let's turn it.
So in turning that corner, we have to first start with the realization of where we are. We have to understand that we are not going to make a World Cup qualifying, a World Cup tournament. We have to stop believing that we can make a World Cup qualifying with this bunch of players or the future players for the next 8 or 9 years. We have to start over. We have to break down what I call this wooden structure and start building a concrete structure now with all stakeholders.
Right.
So that is the first thing, because the people in football and some of the fans of football still think that we can qualify for World Cup. There are international teams like Holland, the Netherlands, England didn't make World Cup for 8 years. Why do they think that Trinidad and Tobago supposed to be in the mix of a World Cup qualifying thing every time? We don't even have a proper professional league, and we are speaking about leagues that have some of the top players in the world. Their country does not make the World Cup every single occasion. It took England 8 years when they failed to make the World Cup to make another World Cup. So they missed 2 World Cups before. And what did they do? They started a home of football. They started investing in the young players like the Sterling, like the Marcus Rashfords. What we are seeing today, and we say, but where Sterling come from? Where Rashford came from? It came from England when they did not qualify. They started focusing on their youth players, and in 8 years' time, they are now back on the world stage. And we may take more than 8 years, all right? I can't compare ourselves with England and think that in 8 years' time we will fix our issues.
But we have a 16-year history, 70 team, the 89 squad, the 90 team, 2006. So 22, this should have been our... If you're looking at how it was, the trend, every 16 years we had done something special.
Yes, but
that broke up.
Everything was sucked out of football.
Okay.
Everything was sucked out of football. So if you go back to your days, as I said, those days were the days of us just enjoying playing football.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Football has now turned to something economic.
Mm-hmm.
And even the 2007 squad, it was still amateurs with some professionals coming back. Mm-hmm. But most of the squad was still amateurs, trying to get a little stipend, and they fought for their stipend. Mm-hmm. It was still amateurs playing football. Now people see football as solely an economic opportunity.
Right.
And the love for the game may be no more around.
So are we doing the right thing to build that, though?
Well, I think that a good start was in terms of building a home of football, where we actually have somewhere that football could own, players could come, they could be accommodated, they could be fed, they could get enough rest. Mm-hmm. We have 7 football fields there where all the national teams can train at the same time. Mm-hmm. We have the administrative offices in Cuba as well. So that's a good foundation. Right? That's a very good foundation. And with that, I think we can start to build, but there are issues in terms of our constitution. There are issues in terms of the administrative, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, not only running, but the administrative think tank in the association. Mm-hmm. And there are many other things which we can talk about in another segment. Yeah.
Yeah, because and you're absolutely right. We know what the problem is, and we say it over and over. Oh man, we need to go back to the communities. We need to do this. We need to go back to, but nobody has made the changes.
Yes.
And we brought in the professional league because we understood we have to have a professional league to host the World Cup or to do this or to do that. So we brought that in. And that has fell on his face over and over and over, and nothing has really happened. So do we need to stick with that or do we not? And I keep saying I don't think we need in this country a professional league. I think we need maybe a semi-pro league or something resemble that to make it work. But again, we keep doing the same thing over and over and over again.
It's not that a professional, the success of a professional league is not the fact that it has professional in front of it, you know. Fans make a professional league viable because you have a fan base, you have funds coming in to operate. So, we can talk about that in the next segment. Yeah.
Right, okay. So, all right, so let's talk about what we need to implement or what kind of management style we need to develop to make it happen and to make our football move forward, because right now we at ground zero and we need to do something. So I want you to think about that, and when we come back, we will just talk about that.
Sure.
Viewers, we'll be right back after the short break.
Football is a business. Yes, it's a grassroots sport, but you are operating now like how the NBA operates, MSL operates. You have a commissioner who is, according like the president, he's evaluated by the stakeholders, and therefore you allow him to run and administer football.
Right.
You cannot blame the president for the result on the field.
Right.
So you have to set up that structure as a business.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. So, Mr. Clark, I never thought I would call you Mr. Clark, man. I can't believe this is the little kid that I used to grab, come on, jump in the car, let's go. And now look at you. Educate me in what needs to happen. How are we going to bring this train back on track? Who our next president is going to be, maybe yourself.
Oh, no.
And so we're going down all the road that answers the question in this is what Trinidad and Tobago need to do to get back on track.
See, let me start with a suggestion.
Yeah.
I've been out of football mainly because football is presently a hustle.
Right.
It's not organized. It's not strategic. There are a lot of people who can be very strategic in football. I mean, we spoke about some of the people that we think that could be possible or probable presidents in the future. And we have a plethora of other people that we can call who can add value to football. But you have to understand what football is. Football is a grassroots sport. And the grassroots people see this as an opportunity for them to improve, not understanding or not being honest that, yes, I could stay at this level, but I cannot operate at that level. And we need to be honest with ourselves. Where can I add the most value in football and stay there? Get the best minds to go into the executive of football and to be on the board of the executive of football, and allow them 8-year period, or 4 years by 4 years, to develop a proper program. If you keep changing administrations every 4 years, and the administration that is coming after has a totally different developmental plan to the administration before, and next 4 years, they get kicked out and somebody else going, football goes nowhere. And that is why I've said that the football president should be a selected position. And selected by a panel of maybe 5 people, You have a member of CFU, a member of CONCACAF, a member of the Ministry of Sport, and 2 representatives from the football stakeholders in Trinidad and Tobago, that they can recommend maybe a legal person or the president of the Professional Football League, whatever. 2 stakeholders who has the educational capability to evaluate prospects for president. And the president should be selected. From that, the president should be allowed to bring 3 board members on and maybe 2 other stakeholders, one from the Ministry of Sport and maybe the president again of the Professional League or another stakeholder from the Trinidad and Tobago football stakeholders. And they are allowed to create a roadmap of development for Trinidad and Tobago football, and they are allowed to implement that roadmap along with the ministry. That is why you have somebody from the ministry there, because it must be a national push to get the redevelopment of football right back on. Mm-hmm. When you have crabs in a barrel, everybody wants to be president for their own personal benefit. Mm-hmm. You will not get our football coming back on track.
So how you take the selfishness out of that?
First and foremost, that's what I said.
From that?
If you take the stakeholders, the selection of a president, first and foremost, the constitution of Trinidad and Tobago football has to change for this to happen. This just can't happen like that.
Right.
The constitution has to change. There are, 30-something people on the board of Trinidad and Tobago football, everybody with their own agenda and trying to pull down the president. That's what happened to David John Williams. That's what happened to William Wallace. You have people with their own agendas not taking football looking at football as the main thing and trying to fight their own personal wars. So the constitution has to change. I know and it's just my view, that the president should be a selected position with a panel of people that are stakeholders in football, CFU, CONCACAF, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, and 2 stakeholders, selected by the Trinidad and Tobago football stakeholders.
So we make that happen.
And they evaluate resumes that have come in, applications, and they evaluate, and they choose from those applications the president of the TTFA, allow him to select some of his deputies, and we choose 2 other deputies so that it could have.
So that happens, and how long is he there for? And how long you would keep him for? And then what happens after that?
Well, what happens as who is the head of the NBA? The head of the NBA is selected.
Right.
The head of Major League Baseball is selected, and they are like the CEO of that organization, right?
And this person stays there as long as
he gets evaluated. He gets evaluated. He lays out his plan. He would have goals and so on to meet, and he gets evaluated, and the same stakeholders evaluate him.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
The same stakeholders, CONCACAF, CFU, the ministry, they evaluate him.
Okay, so we got the president, as you're saying. Now we need to get structure for our football. Where we go?
Right, and the picture I'm painting is a business structure.
Right. Because
football is a business. Yes, it's a grassroots sport, but you are operating now like how the NBA operates, MSL operates. You have a commissioner who is, according like the president, he's evaluated by the stakeholders, and therefore you allow him to run and administer football.
Right.
Right? You cannot blame the president for the result on the field.
Right.
So you have to set up that structure as a business to run Trinidad and Tobago football.
And that would take a constitutional change.
That will take a constitutional change, but without that, it will never happen.
All right.
It will never happen. Our football will continue going in the opposite direction that we want it to go.
Okay, let's say we have done that, and we know the president of TTFA is selected, and he can run just like the commissioner of basketball in the U.S. and stuff. He could be running that multiple years, as long as, just like
Correct.
Camps was the president of TTFA for a long time.
No, you can't say just like Camps. Camps did not act.
No, I mean in the running.
The capacity, yes.
I mean in the running. He didn't. Did they have elections?
Yes, but right, let us not go there. Please let us not go there. Yeah.
But because I say that because he was there for a long time.
Yes, that is because, yes. Let us
so
not
the
go
president could be there long term.
Yes.
So now, we got him, and things are running. So then, what do we do next? Where we?
Well, we have to set up our developmental program with goals and targets, where we're going to meet goals and targets, and that should start from youth development, right? It should not be a focus of the national senior team, which takes most of the football budget. We have to set up a proper development whereby we have feeder programs from under 14 to under 16, from under 16 to under 14, from under 10 to under 12, and so on, whereby we can see a proper progression of where our players are going to come from and continue going.
But I also heard you say, let's take it back to the communities, change the structure, how the leagues are run. So tell me what the...
Well, I was focusing that question on the national program.
Okay.
Because but whoever that president is, I would like to see that football goes back to the communities. Why football must go back to the communities? Football cannot be successful without fans. Fans are the one who put money into football by paying at the turnstile to come in and see games. We have so many stadiums in this country that are just empty. So many football stadiums and fields and so on. Lit fields in almost every community. And again, we are football focused, but this goes for all sports. We have lawn tennis courts that are lit all over the country. We have basketball courts that are lit all over the country, and nothing is happening.
But I'm telling you why I'm saying this. I'm saying this because I'm old-timer. So just like they used to have SFL, POSFL, NFL, and then they had league football, and then they had North-South. I sit here now, and I still think
that is the best way.
That is the best.
And I am in total agreement with you, right? And why am I in agreement with you? I am looking at the commercial aspect of it, not just the sporting aspect of it, but the commercial aspect of it. That when you had North-South in Skinner Park, or even when you have Telco playing San Fernando Strikers in Skinner Park, Skinner Park was full,
right?
Because it was players from the community that were playing within their community, and people from the community coming to see the players play. And then when one community, South, playing another community, North, you have another congregation of fans from communities coming to see football play. So I am in perfect agreement with that. And out of that, you can have a semi-professional or professional league, But for a professional league to be successful, it has to have a fan base. Where are the fans coming from? The communities.
So you give every well, it's like an all-star team. The SFL, that could be where it comes from. I don't know. I don't know.
But again, the president and his people will, but I would like them to go back to communities when that happens. And the other stakeholders in football will come in and create the best possible solution. But I'm telling you, it has to start back there. Anybody that thinks that football could springboard from where it is right now with our national team, and we could continue focusing on the senior team and think that our senior team will eventually become good again, that's not going to happen. We have to break that down, and we have to get honest with ourselves that we do not have the talent to play at a World Cup international level, and we have to build and grow from youth development programs to eventually reach back to that space. And that is not going to be in 1 year time with a change of administration, 4 years time with an administration trying to do its best. That is going to take 8 to 12 years, 3 terms, all right, 3 terms to see some progress in the restructure, because that is what it is, the restructure of our football.
So let me ask you a question. If constitution change and we have an elected president, and would I see you in the future looking to be a president of the Trinidad and Tobago football?
I would not say president, but I would get involved in at some management level. If it's not at the administration of the TTFA, maybe in club administration, but I will get back involved in football and add some value into football, into either restructuring clubs. This is not just about the restructuring of the TTFA. The clubs themselves must have a proper structure. So I could maybe get involved in training clubs how to structure and run a proper club in terms of management structure and so on. Or I will get involved in some way, form, or fashion to give back to football with the expertise that I've gained through education and experience in terms of management.
All right. If you could be a consultant to the government, and you could be a consultant to the Minister of Sports, what would you tell him?
Well, in terms of affecting football?
Yes, in terms of supporting it and
first and foremost, we have to understand that football is independent and is run by FIFA.
Right.
Right? So all these ideas that we're throwing out here, it has to be sanctioned by FIFA first of all.
Right.
And I think that when the Ministry of Sport sees that football is being properly restructured, they will automatically get involved. That's what they are there for. They are there for the development of sport. When I think the Ministry of Sport sees that we are going back to youth development, they will get involved. When I think the Ministry of Sport sees that the football is now organized in communities and we're getting more community involvement and youths from the communities. Right now, there's only a small portion of people involved in football in the professional league. Most of the country is not involved. So when all that happens and you get a restructuring of community leagues, I think the Ministry of Sport is going to get involved automatically. Because with that, it can cause reduction of crime, better community spirit, everybody in the community getting to know each other, and the harmony of the community will cause fans to come out and spend their money at our various stadiums, and football will start to rebuild.
You can see us starting to look self-sufficient.
That's right.
And trying to build our own thing. And most people want to see you moving in that direction before they start putting their money.
Correct. And stop focusing on just national football. Start focusing on football on a whole in terms of the development, a countrywide program in terms of development. We only focus on national football. We don't focus on anything else.
You heard him. That's Anthony Clark. Viewers, you decide, and you have your word. So make your word be heard to the football fraternity, whatever. I don't know where we go from here, but I know we need a change, and we need a change quick. I want to thank you for being here, Tony.
Thank you for the opportunity.
We're going to take a ride to a football game like we did back in the day, and we're going to get some food like we usually do and make it happen. Right?
Yep.
Thank you, bud. Viewers, thank you for tuning in every Monday night, and we do repeat on a Tuesday at 1 and a Saturday at 1. We have a Facebook page you can check us out, and we have an email address, fieldofdreamstt@gmail.com. You can drop us a line. ECTN, like I said, thanks for the opportunity. This show has ended. Go in peace. My name is Steve David. Good night.